Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Monsignor Casale, and I'm the Speaker of the Senate. I would like to thank Monsignor Casale for allowing us to make this gathering possible and for speaking to the students. I also would like all of you for coming. Before I pass it over to Monsignor Casale, I want to talk a little bit about the Senate, what the Senate is and what the Senate does. The Senate represents all of you, every single one of you, the student body. So whenever you see a problem on campus or would like to propose something to make our university better, we're the direct resource that you should go to. We're here for you. So the big question is, who are we? The Senate is made up of 7 senators. These senators put their time and effort to making sure that all of you are represented in the best possible way. They're passionate about student rights and are willing to step up to challenge for all of you. Right now, I would like to all the senators to stand up so you can be acknowledged. These are the students that care for you. Know their faces and don't be afraid to approach them with any concern that you might have. Now I want to mention a few things that the Senate has done so far this semester, and let's start with the small one. LED board. On the request of the Senate, the LED board brightness at the front gate has been decreased by 15%, so it doesn't blind the people who are driving at night. We also had 2 meetings with 2 major departments in the school. The first one was with the physical plan. And here are the topics that we've discussed with them. Accessibility button problems. They'll be looked at and repaired. Outside furniture maintenance. You know sometimes it gets filthy, and it will be cleaned on request and at the regular cycles now. Shuttle bus problems. Every bus stop, for those who are using buses, will have a sticker with the driver's phone number and the exact schedule, so you know exactly when it's going to be there. Pool area furniture problems. You will go through maintenance, and some of it is already fixed and will be repaired as necessary. Gravel parking problems for the science students who don't get enough parking spaces nearby this science building. You can park there, and we'll go through the maintenance this summer, so there are not going to be holes anymore. The second meeting was with the OIT department, and the installation of the new hardware throughout the university has been finished, and access points of the Wi-Fi increased from 90 to 340. So after April 21st, the network will be completely refreshed, both hardware and software-wise, and with the ability to access torrents and online gaming. So those of you gamers will be able to play after April 21st. The last one, and I consider it's a major accomplishment for the Senate, is the napkin board. The idea for the napkin board came from the trip to Washington, D.C., when the SGA went to the Student Government Conference. Napkin board is the direct communication channel between students and the cafeteria. So if you have a comment about the food that you like or dislike, or if you want to give a general feedback or make a proposition to improve the service, you're more than welcome to pick up the pen, leave the comment on the napkin, and leave it on the napkin board, which is located next to the cafeteria exit, and you shall receive a direct reply from cafeteria services within 48 hours. So I know a lot of you complain about the food, or would like to make a couple of suggestions. So make sure you do that. You'll receive a reply within 48 hours. So now let's start the event that we came here for. Monsignor Casale, everybody, please make a round of applause.
Thank you, Max, and thank you for the opportunity to have all the students here and to have a discussion. And I'll give you a presentation that I gave to the whole community about a week ago. And Max was at that and made some suggestions, which I have also incorporated into my presentation to you today. Essentially, my presentation to you is about the future of the university. And it was about 2 years ago that the Board of Trustees asked the question, what would it take for us to become the best leader in Catholic education in the Southeast. And so we designed a process whereby we had each dean and each director meeting the library director and Laura Coakley-Todd, who is the director of athletics, to come up with certain items, if done, that would affect the particular areas that they represent, that would lift the university to another level altogether. These items run the gamut. They're about students, they're about faculty, they're about programs, they're about degrees, and to some extent, they're about facilities. So that program, as we call it now, Blueprint for Leadership, was adopted by the Board of Trustees at their February meeting of this year. And I'm going to go through with you just some highlights of that. It's not the complete blueprint. I'm going to show you how you can access the complete blueprint from your computer at the end of the presentation. Blueprints look something like this, and those are the covers of the blueprints. These are the actual physical blueprints. And let me go through some of the highlights for you, and then you will have some questions that you want to ask, or if you want to have additional explanation, I'd be happy to give it to you. But let me start by going to the School of Business. School of Business is taking advantage of two things. Number one, at this point in our economy, in our global economy, it's become very clear that unless there is entrepreneurship, in other words, not corporate level development, because corporations are not developing, but entrepreneurship, and some of you who are taking business know what that's all about, where we would actually be starting up more and more enterprise, not only in the United States, but in the world. That will drive a better economy because it will be more pervasive in how it affects all the people. Instead of the corporations controlling all the wealth gets spread among other people who have small businesses. And that's been the tradition in our country for years. And so everybody's come to realize that, you know, we better learn how to do that better. Now we're in an ideal spot to do that globally because really we're the link, and especially St. Thomas University, between the East, Asia, and Latin America, two growing and developing areas of the world. We know where we are relative to Latin America, and some of you here are from there. And you also know that one of the great benefits recently that's happened to St. Thomas University is that we have an enormous number of students now from China, some from Korea, more and more from Taiwan. And just this past week, we received 50 more applications from mainland China for next semester. And so you can see the growth of the connection that we have with Asia, especially China at the moment. And these connections come not simply to bring students, although we like to have more students, of course, and they add a lot, as you know, to the diversity of the university, but also because that gives us foothold in China or Korea or any place else, so that we can link into businesses there, to have perhaps get you some internships there in the future. We can link into the educational systems there, and we can do exchange of students, exchange of faculty, in order to broaden the global reach of St. Thomas University. As many of you know, Dr. Chan will have a new position shortly. He will be full-time in charge of global development. So all the relationships that we now have will be expanded. He will be making new relationships for us in places that we have to go. They'll create exciting opportunities for all our students, hopefully for you, but certainly you, the people who come into St. Thomas University in the future. and global is the way we need to go. We also know, and some of you are sports administration majors, that sports administration is a big program for St. Thomas. We started it in the United States, and we have a great reputation for sports administration. But it's national. We are now going international in our sports administration program to look at the markets, to see what they need, and then to develop a program and programs around what we find. And also to integrate into our program the elements that we find, the best of things that we find in the global markets. Also, sports and tourism are beginning to be a big conglomerate business, and so we will focus on that in the future. We intend to be putting up a school of business, a new building. We do not have a school of business school here. We have a school of business, but we don't have a building. And that is the one big building that we will be building in our immediate future. But it will not only be a state-of-the-art school of business, it will also be a place where there is sharing of an environment so that there is collaboration among different entities within the university. For example, I hope I say this clearly enough this time. For example, we will move all the technology teaching, everything that's done in the science lab, science building right now, into the new business building. So the teaching classrooms that are in the science building right now will physically be moved into the new School of Business. There will be additional laboratories there, just as we have them around the campus now. And the reason for that is, A, we need more space at the School of Science, as many of you in science know, and that'll give us expansion space. And B, today you can't separate technology and business. Business is technology, technology is in business. So it makes all the sense in the world for that physically to be located there. The Dean of Science will still be the Dean for Technology, but there will be a collaboration between the two schools. And also, it's our thought that we would move communications physically into that building. So there will be a home where communications is, because today in business, you have to be a good communicator. You have to be a good marketer. So we're doing a lot of these joint programs in the future. And a lot more in business. Let's go to Biscayne College. Let me start off by asking you, how many of you speak Spanish? Quite a number. How many of you learn Spanish in your own country? How many learn Spanish here in Miami from family, etc.? Okay. Now, I ask those of you who did not come from South America, and we have a lot more of you here on campus, could you send a memo to the CEO of a major corporation in Latin America telling him what your plans were to establish a new company and ask him to get involved in it? Probably not. No. Because we have not concentrated on honing the skill of our Spanish speakers here in Miami. And it's a constant complaint that we hear in education from the business people, that although there's a lot of Spanish spoken in Miami, a lot of it is not spoken well. We have in our plan a competency in 2 languages for every student. The idea of that came from the fact that we know that a lot of you speak Spanish. We know that a lot of you speak Spanish, but need to speak it better and be able to do Spanish better in order for you to really become that global leader. And so we are going to offer the opportunity in the future for everybody to be competent in second language. We'll be starting with Spanish, but we'll also be moving into Mandarin rather quickly, because that, of course, is becoming the second global language after English and Spanish. Spanish probably less than even Mandarin. You know that we have a QEP called, what's the name of the QEP? What's the name of the QEP that we have about writing? Word Up is about writing, learning better English writing, learning better skill in using of English, and also then learning that specifically in the discipline that you're graduating in. So your business English, for example, if you're a business major, will be superb. Your language for science, to communicate in science, will be superb. So you will be ready for a job. You will be very marketable because of the skill that you have. You know that we have our program in global leadership, and we put people all over the world in different kinds of places. And our Center for Community Engagement already is a global enterprise. Many of you know, and I look around the room and I see many of you who are involved in this project already, know that we are making a significant difference in the country of Haiti. We're literally changing things in Haiti. We're helping people to thrive and develop in a new way by teaching skills that we bring from St. Thomas University. And that will be something that will expand. And also, it will be for you a lesson, kind of. This is what I learned. This is what I should become in order to do it better. This is how I relate to other people's problems. Let's go to science. The big thing in science is that we, at this point, are almost into 100% of everybody having the opportunity to do research. How many science majors are here? How many of you did research last summer? How many of you got the stipend for research last summer? Well, we intend to expand that program in science, in research, so that everyone has a stipend for the summer, so you don't have to work, and you can do serious research, bench work, with a researcher here or someplace else in the nation. And this year, for the first time, I believe Dr. Steelen is sending students to Belgium. So we will expand that program so that all our science students will have that opportunity. 100% of our graduates will have the opportunity to do research with major scholars and researchers. In our law school, we do an awful lot in social justice and human rights. It was founded years ago, about 30 years ago now, on that notion that really there are not enough people who pay attention, who come out of law school, to the needs of society. A lot of lawyers want to make money or they work for corporations. So we've really been serious about that. We have a Human Rights Institute where we process, as some of you might know, 5,000 or more people from Cuba and Haiti every year through the immigration process to regularize their status. You can imagine what that does to the life of those families. We have become a national leader in combating human trafficking. I probably told some of you this before, but I testified in front of the Congress when they were reauthorizing the bill on human trafficking. And it was a result of the research that's done in our law school on the subject. Just today, Dr. Rosa Patti, who is in charge of the Center for Intercultural Human Rights, told me that she's been tasked by the Vatican to write a paper that will be given to every single Vatican ambassador in the world. As you may know, the Vatican has an embassy in every single country in the world on the issue of human trafficking and on some of the policies that they ought to inaugurate in order to better spot it, help to cure it, and to prosecute those who are in the business of it. We were the first law school in the United States to require pro bono service of our lawyers. One of the things I hear all the time, and I hope some of you are on the way to our law school, one of the things I hear all the time from people in our town, Miami, is that we have very, very good lawyers that come out of St. Thomas University. Why? Because A, they're well trained, B, they're hardworking, they don't take anything for granted, and C, they know how to get things done. Because they have many opportunities, we have one of the largest number of clinics, and clinics are important to law schools in the whole country. Clinics give you hands-on experience with real clients. It could be an elder law, it could be an immigration, it could be a number of different things. And also the pro bono requirement gives our lawyers the opportunity to go out, do some kind of legal work or quasi-legal work, but that also gives them experience, so that when they do graduate, they have more experience to be able to go into the workforce as lawyers. Let's talk now about the School of Theology and Ministry. I'm stymied here.
Just move the mouse over. And then just hit the next arrow. Oh, stop.
Any one of you guys, though. That was easy. In the School of Theology and Ministry, what we're doing is we're calling this the Varela Center. We have been doing, as you know, especially those of you who are Cuban, things are changing. I mean, the attitudes here are changing relative to Cuba. The attitudes in the United States relative to Cuba are changing, and things are changing in Cuba. And so there is more and more exchange going on between Cuba and the United States. For many years now, we have already had exchange. It's been kind of secret. In the summertime, we bring some people here, we train them in technology, we do a little leadership training, we do some theological training for the church people in Cuba. Well, we intend now to do that as a big time here. And that will be our contribution to the church in Cuba, because the church in Cuba is extremely poor and does not have a lot of trained leadership. And so that will be one of the things that we will be doing. The Center for Ecumenical and Interreligious Studies is a combination of doing a lot of putting things together, a lot of which we were doing before. We did a lot with Jewish relations, we certainly did a lot with Christian relations, but now we're taking on more and more Muslim relations, because that is becoming a bigger and bigger issue for our world, how the religions get along and how they can together make progress instead of fighting one another. Finally, the John Paul Institute, where I shouldn't say finally, because there are a lot of other things in the blueprint, but I'm only doing highlights. John Paul Institute for Pastoral Ministries, we have entered into an agreement with the Archdiocese of Miami that we will be totally responsible for all the higher education needs of the Archdiocese. Everything from teaching accountants how to do better bookkeeping, to plant managers, to training theologians, to training religious educators who are teaching CCD or religious education in the parishes. So we have already started, we had a big meeting here last week, we already started to meet the deans and the leaders of the Archdiocese together to develop that plan. Now, the one that everybody's interested in, of course, is athletics. You already see improvements in the athletics. We've been doing that for a while. We intend to build a new, expand almost all of the facilities. Are the lights finished on the field, on the softball field? No.
They haven't started.
They're what?
They haven't started.
They haven't started? Okay. They will. It'll start soon. As I said, you may not be the beneficiary of all this, but certainly the people who come after you will be. Because I remember sitting here years ago, not sitting here, but talking to your predecessors years ago about when are we ever going to have a gymnasium. And it takes a little time to get things done, but it comes. We will do a new tennis complex. When that will happen, I can't promise a date on that. I do know the softball field will be done. That's a fait accompli, because the money's there and it will get done. And I'm surprised to hear that it hasn't even started. I've got to check on that. But I don't know when the tennis complex will be done. That would have to be a major gift that comes to us. And we're working on a few, we're working on a lot of this already. And I think you know that we're going to have 2 new sports. Write it on a piece of paper, and then you can do it. 2 new sports, women's sand volleyball and women's golf. And another thing that will happen fairly quickly is the sand volleyball courts. What we've done, I think they're in the process of raising money for that right now, the athletics committee. We intend to spruce up the student gathering places in the area. 3 things I would say would be almost immediate, and we already are engaging an architect for the front of the student center as a gathering place that's covered. We really don't have an outside covered gathering space except at the law school. And so we're asking our architect to look at possibilities, some awnings or something like that, that would help us to have programs there, or you to have your programs there. I meet with the, as you know, I meet fairly regularly with the officers of the SGA, and that was their recommendation, that be made into a gathering area. The other area we're going to improve is the area between Kennedy and the science building, and put some more study areas in there, especially on the Kennedy side. And it's also my hope that we will go right through, so you don't have to go around the building every time you want to go in and out of Kennedy Hall. And also I hear, and we'll continue to listen to what your needs are, I hear that one of the things we need is at all these benches and things, more electrical outlets to plug in computers. So we'll be working on that as well. Those will be done in a fairly short period of time. A lot of that doesn't take a lot of money. It's the big things that will have to wait for. The library. The library is going to be transformed. It'll be transformed from a library of books to a library of technology, an information laboratory, a new learning environment where you could sit together, learn together, work together, more computers, more space. And Jonathan is here. I asked him, Dr. Roach, to be here because I think that you'd like to hear some of the things that he has planned, and also he has some drawings there that you'll see some of the renovations that are going to be taking place. And we'll be doing those pretty gradually. We'll start in various areas shortly. This all will get done through a $100 million campaign. You already know that some things are being done. For example, the money that comes for your stipends has already been raised. Some of you are fellows, which means you're getting a scholarship. You're getting almost a full ride in various places. That's already been raised. So we're raising a lot of money. We just got another $600,000 matching grant for scholarships the other day. So the scholarships won't be to reduce your financial aid necessarily, but it will be for you to do additional things that you can't do. For example, learning a language, going to another country is great. We can give you a summer scholarship to do that. So that is already being done. But this is being taken on by the Board of Trustees, many of whom have pledged large amounts of money already. And I have to tell you that when you do a campaign like this, and you ask somebody for $1 million, they don't say, oh, yeah, okay, here you are, I'll write my check. What they usually do is give it to you over a period of time. And that happened, you haven't been here since I think our last project has been completed. But that happened with the arena, the gymnasium, happened with the science building, or you get started and then they give you money as you go along. So that's how those things work. You can find the detail, more detail, on www.stu/blueprint, and maybe you can put it on your student government website or something, Angela and Max, so that you can find it easy if you want to find what else is in there. So now we'll collect the cards if you have questions, and I'll be happy to answer the questions.
If you didn't get a card but you have a question, just let me know so I can give you one. You have a card?
Is there a possibility of extending the library hours?
So yeah, the question for Mr. Jonathan is, will you extend the hours for library?
Okay. If I can ask who asked this question, what do you mean by extend?
There we go.
Yeah.
Being an athlete, it's kind of hard to get here on normal hours since we have practice. So I was just wondering if there's any, like I know law stays open to 12. So like, I mean, it's inconvenient for this to close and then us to like save our stuff and go to the law library and just have it for an hour. So I was wondering if there's any chance like maybe one day a week or something that you guys can extend hours or something like that.
So open till midnight, 1 or 2 nights a week.
Or even longer if possible, because all of us try to pull all nighters since we go away to tournaments or we have practice like all day. So it's just
One of the goals of the library blueprint is to have a space that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To have a dedicated lab that you can have access to all the time. So that is in the plan. Right now, I don't have the staff to do that except for during finals. Okay, thank you.
Let me, this question is basically about the technology and the science building. How many of you are IT, any kind of IT majors here? Oh, you're not? Well, okay. Those majors will be taught in the new building, and all the equipment that's now taught in those classrooms at the end will be moved into the new building. It doesn't mean that all the other technology that you now have for science and research is going to go. It just means the program, the one program in IT, all the aspects of IT will be moved over to business. And you know that there's joint teaching going on right now between some of the professors in science and in business in technology. So your technology will be enhanced for your experimentation, and et cetera, but the program, IT program itself is going to be moved out.
The next question is about science school, and will there be any science graduate programs in the near future? I've heard rumors of pharmacy school.
We have the pharmacy school on the back burner. When we first started this, pharmacy was up front, but the market changed, and based on two things. Just pharmacy is changing in general. Pharmacist is now somebody that you go to for shots, blood pressure tests, is out in front consulting with you, no longer doing pills. And then secondly, the Affordable Care Act has got the industry a little kind of waiting to see what the next need is in pharmacy. So we have that on the back burner. That's not in the immediate future at all. As far as the graduate, my charge to first Dr. Chan, then to William Steele is, let's get the finest undergraduate program in the Southeast, undergraduate in science. Let's establish that. And by and large, that's pretty much where we're going, and where we are almost right now. We've got a tremendous undergraduate science program. And my second comment was, when that is established, and people are knocking down the doors from all over the states to come to our science program, then let's talk about expanding it to the master's level. Now, there are one or two that may get developed because I know Dr. Steele has been talking about it, but no major expansion in the near future on the graduate level in science. Perhaps a degree.
This one goes into that one. Is there a plan to expand 4 years of the nursing program?
Absolutely. It should be done within a year.
Nursing program.
4-year nursing program. It'll be done within a year.
next question is there a plan to continue improving the resident halls?
Yes. We're based on, no, there's only 1 year that you're in CASHA. So based on your feedback about CASHA, at the end of this year, we'll think about what we want to do with Donovan. But that's very much on our minds, just like it's on your minds, to improve that.
The next question is, do you see the student enrollment increasing? And if so, by what percent?
We're doing some projections on next year. Our applications are up about 15 to 20%, and we know what our conversion rate is. So I would estimate that we will have growth over this year by 5 to 10%.
Monsignor, this question says, this is for Caribbean students who are asking this, but what future is there for Caribbean students in the expansion of STU, scholarships, internships, jobs?
That's a good question, because I realize that you have no access to federal aid. Right now, we have a grid, as you know. Everybody, no matter where you come from, if your grades are this level, you get this, GPAs is such and such, SATs, whatever, ACTs, it's a grid. Everybody kind of gets the same. As I said to you before, probably what's going to happen, and it's always going to be expensive to go to college. And it's certainly expensive, as you know, if you come from another country where you don't have any federal assistance or state assistance. What will happen is we will make it easier for you probably to participate in other things. Now, right now, for example, almost all our RAs are international students, so we do give you, quite a bit of help in that regard. We don't have anything, I have to tell you honestly, there's nothing in there that says scholarships are going to be raised for international students. It will be raised to make it more international by going someplace else.
Well, so far it looks like we've answered all the questions, and there's one more.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, just a second. This is, what is the name and qualifications of the scholarship that you mentioned in Tommaso, grant that came in for?
The 600,000.
The name of the foundation is for the Bachelor Foundation. The qualifications are for students in need. So in answer to your question from Caribbean students, if you really qualify for need, it could be for you. Yes.
You just mentioned about the Caribbean students, about the question about the Caribbean students. Can you hear me? No? Yes?
Max is bringing it in.
Any more? Write your questions down. I'll take this one verbally.
All right. Hello, Karen. You just talked about Caribbean students, but you really did not address.
Say that again?
Okay, you just spoke about Caribbean students.
Yes.
Okay, you did not really address Caribbean students at the moment. RAs are mainly made of Latin American students,
Yes.
and not really Caribbean students. So what can the school do for Caribbean students?
That's another interesting little fact I just learned today. I didn't know that. I thought that there were mostly international students, no matter where you came from.
Is the school,
I will look into that.
will the school make a link between Caribbean and St. Thomas, it's making an effort to the Asian population or the Latin population? Will the link be established between Caribbean students and St. Thomas?
It's a good point. You're making a very good point. We should have more opportunities for Caribbean students.
Okay, thank you.
I thought that, I've always been told that the RAs are international students, meaning they're not from the United States, so that's how we're helping people to pay their tuition. helpful with these things. Thank you very much.
So looks like there's no more questions. Thank you guys for coming, and in conclusion, I would like to say, if you would like to express your opinion, please don't be afraid to contact us in person or via email at the senate@stu.edu. Thank you guys for coming, and it was awesome.
But now, wait a minute, we've got a couple other slides here. One of the things I wanted to tell you about is, it doesn't pertain directly to you at all. But we just signed a major contract on the 13th of March with a Silicon Valley firm to expand all our online degrees on the national level. And so we expect that within the next couple of years, online, I mean couple to three, we will probably have an additional 3,000 online students. Not local, because we will still do the local online ourselves, but outside of the state of Florida. So we're taking, and the reason why this company was so interested in us, and I think you should know this, is A, we have a good reputation, good academic reputation, and the last thing is, we've been in it longer than most other people, online education. Not just in the classroom, because you're using all kinds of technology in the classroom, but total online education, as you know, and it's mostly an adult population. It's not you guys, or most of you, not adults at this point. Oh, you're adults, not old adults. Yeah. And just a reminder, tomorrow, these are the ones we now offer online. These are the ones that will go national. These are our degrees. They're all master's level degrees. Just to tell you or remind you, and I hope you're all there tomorrow, as a sign of thanks to the Dooner family. The Dooner family gave $1 million to Biscayne College, which is now supporting a lot of those programs I just meant, the development of the Language Academy, Word Up, writing across the discipline, all those kinds of things. So we will rename Kennedy Hall. It will become Biscayne College, Mimi Dooner Hall. Mimi Dooner was the daughter of the Dooners who died at a very young age of a rare cancer, so they wanted to memorialize her. So the whole family will be here tomorrow, many guests. Many of the alumni from the Biscayne College days are coming. They're happy to see Biscayne on the building again, and hopefully they'll get involved in the campaign as well. So please come, socialize, tell them who you are, and thank them for what they do. Mass is at 12:15. Going to bless the building. You can go through it. Right after that, it'll take about 10 minutes, and then we'll have there'll be a tent, which they're probably putting up right now, at Plaza Kelly, and plenty of food. So you're all invited.
Guys, thank you. You're all welcome. And you're welcome. Thank you for coming.